Well, welcome, Tammy. Thank you so much for being here. It was very short notice when I asked Tammy to come on the podcast, but here she is. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I was excited and a little bit nervous. This is my first podcast, but I figured I'd just dive in and show up. So
Yeah, that's the best way,
thanks
I
for having
think.
me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
I think so.
pleasure.
Kind of rip that
So,
band-aid off.
yeah, exactly. Um, and maybe it's something I'll get into later, but I work so much better under pressure. And like when I said,
Same.
yeah, it's so bad. I've been like this, I think, all my life. Even
Yeah.
studying for exams in school and university.
I
I,
think there's
I
studies and research out there to support that, that I just some people work better under pressure and then
I
you
do.
just kind of step up to the challenge and get it done.
Yeah. And I feel like
Yeah.
it's so stressful for me
Yeah.
though. I bring it on myself.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what it is I have going on. Some things I will force myself to actually spend some time on in advance.
Mm,
And then other things it's just no, it's the
no,
11th
yeah.
hour.
Yeah. And I think about it because I'm such a perfectionist that if I don't have much time, I can't, keep trying to perfect it better and better and better. It's like, okay, it's good enough, it's done. I
It's
think that's
good
where it comes
enough.
from for me.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if I try to do it too much in advance, my perfectionism takes over and just trying to do
And you
it.
just keep, yeah, I know what you mean. So you just keep working on it over and over and over again. And probably the first or two or three iterations will be the perfect ones, so to
Yeah.
speak, or the best, better ones.
Well, I like to, I don't know why I kind of have a fascination with hearing people's stories and
Okay.
kind of where they started and where they go and why they change, or why they change, paths. Whether it's, it's career, it often comes back to career, but it doesn't have to be career. But if you just want to tell us a little bit about your journey so far, if you want to focus on career, that's fine too.
Sure. Well, I've been a little bit all over the place. So I'll give you an idea of how I arrived at the accountability group that I have going on and how I arrived at wanting to do some life coaching. So I actually spent, I have a degree in psychology, a science degree actually with a major in psychology. And shortly after I got out of university, I spent about 10 years working with troubled youth and young offenders.
Mm,
And during that time, we used to write case plans with the youth directly. And those case plans involved identifying goals that they would work on to complete while they were in our care. So that really was my first experience in goal setting.
okay.
Yeah.
And
And
it
so
worked well with them?
it did. Yeah, it did work pretty well. I mean, I'm sure there were, given the age that I was at the time, I was pretty young. I'm sure there were goals that I identified for them that weren't necessarily theirs. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't necessarily own those goals. Maybe they weren't goals that they wanted to complete themselves,
Yeah, which is a big part of it. Yeah.
right? Which is really important. But probably the biggest value I got out of that exercise was obviously working with the kids. I really enjoyed that. But in terms of the goal setting, my boss introduced me to SMART goals, and he introduced me to the concept of breaking those goals down into achievable tasks. So when you have a goal, you want to know how you're going to get there. So when you're setting your goal, it's not just important to know that this is the goal I have. You need to know, well, why do I want that goal in the first place? And
Mm,
we can get to that later. And you need to know when do you want to achieve it, depending on the goal, and you need to know how. So the tasks that you identify to help you get to those goals, that's the how piece.
mm,
And when I was working with the kids, that was my first exposure to setting goals like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It,
so I,
and my like the nutrition, my nutrition background, we kind of went through SMART goals as well. And I still remember a client I used to have every year when I was practicing as a dietitian in Montreal. Usually we go through a whole nutrition consult and then, give them information. Okay, what do you want to work on? This man,
mhm,
it was funny. He really liked that, and he would come
okay,
in year after year for 4 years and just leave with one goal. So sometimes the consult would only be 15
wow,
minutes. Yeah, and he just loved that. And he implemented that change, whether it's drinking more water or whatever it was for the year until next year he came back for the consult. Like, it was fun.
that's very cool. I think
Yeah.
for some people it's really it's almost like an aha moment, light bulb goes off. I don't think people fully understand the process of creating goals and how to actually be successful with them. I think a lot of
Mm,
people, when they're setting their goals, they're just lofty, wonderful goals, and they don't give enough time and thought and effort into, well, that's great and all that you want to live a healthier lifestyle or that you want to lose 50 pounds, but how are you going to get there?
yes.
And
Yeah. And from my own experience too, in the past, I've set like huge goals for myself. That's why I kind of have a love-hate relationship with goal setting. It's because I do set goals for myself that are like so big and that they seem like you're never going to reach them. But like even having the knowledge about the SMART goals, I don't think I fully absorbed it and applied it.
uh, yeah,
So, like, I'm thinking now, okay, yeah, I set a goal for myself for this year, but I've broken it down somewhat, but not enough.
mhm, right. And I mean, that happens a lot. We all do that, I think.
Hmm.
And I think that's why you have all these people who have those New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year, and they're gung ho for maybe the first 2 weeks or the first month, and then everything falls off because they didn't take the time to really figure out, well, what does that mean for me? How am I going to get it done? Do I actually have the time, the resources? You know,
Yeah.
and people need to be more flexible and more gentle with themselves.
That's the
And
other, that I think that's my hate part of goals.
yeah, you
Is
really
that,
need,
yeah, that I'm being too hard on myself if I don't reach it. And then I
right.
just kind of get like forget it all because I get
Yeah.
frustrated.
And then you just stop. Yeah. So you stop going to the gym or you're back to going to McDonald's every other day and or you've stopped working on your side business or whatever special project you want to get completed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're all of us are guilty of that, myself included.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the key really is just breaking it down further into chunks that are manageable and sometimes course correcting and realizing, well, wait a minute, this goal is probably still achievable, but how I get there might need to change.
Mm.
And maybe it's going to take me a bit longer than I initially thought.
Yeah. And having that, that compassion, that self-compassion, it's like it's
Yes,
okay.
it's okay if you have a crappy day. Just dust yourself off and pick up
Yeah.
again the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. And I think like what you said, putting it down into small tasks, that's the key.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, if you've got this large goal, but you need a path for how you're going to get there. So those tasks help you figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be daily tasks, weekly tasks, things that you need to do on an ongoing basis. But the important thing is to write them down and to plan it out.
Yes, that's right. I saw a
Yeah.
stat, it was 42% more likely to achieve if you write them down.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to write them down. Either you write them down in words or create a vision board and get them down in pictures. But the key is you need to get them down. You need to
Yeah.
put them on a piece of paper or in a picture that you can actually visualize and see. And then share your goals with others too.
Yes. And that's the accountability part, right?
Exactly. Let other people know what it is that you're working on
Mm-hmm.
and have that accountability
So
and
we
then
can,
celebrate those wins,
yeah, love it.
regardless how big or small they are.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we often pass over too, because we're just thinking about achieving the next thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. You need to take a moment to stop and breathe and celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
In
great.
whatever way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing that with clients too. But yeah, see, I do it, but I didn't do it myself.
Well, I mean, I spent all that time with the kids working on theirs, but it's not something I ever implemented with myself at all at that time. It didn't
Mm,
even occur to me to do so. So
yeah. So why
yeah.
did you want to start this accountability group on Facebook that you started this year?
Okay. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I did spend those 10 years working with the kids, and I actually stopped that eventually and left and went back to school and worked in IT, and I still do actually. As an information architect and a technical writer, and I did that. I've been doing that for 15 years.
Okay.
But a few years ago, I found myself wanting to give back and to have more connection and to use some of the skills that I had acquired when I was working with the youth.
Mm-hmm.
And I started watching Marie Forleo a lot and becoming familiar with life coaching. And it really appealed to me. And I thought it was something that I could get into myself.
Okay.
So I spent some time pursuing that. And I actually left my corporate job for about 8 months to spend some time devoting on that. So I actually have my own website. I had established a blog for a while, all with the goal of providing those life coaching services or trying to figure out what that looked like. But I got away from it about a year or more ago. I went back to my corporate job in the contractor role, mostly because, I have to pay the bills.
Yep,
We all do, right?
I hear you.
Yeah. And I didn't completely hate that job. I actually do enjoy the work that I have. It just wasn't filling all of my needs. But at any rate, I did go back. And so I kind of let my own goals, my own dreams slide for this past year. So, I got caught up with family and my other job and got focused and COVID, of course.
Yeah.
So I kind of let that all slide. And as this year was coming to a close, I decided to actually spend some time on myself and actually put together a vision board. And I was using my Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page to share that. And I just kind of decided one day on a whim, like, you know what? Let's have an accountability group. And really, it was really just an instinctual thing. I don't know, a message from the universe, call it what you will.
Yeah.
I was just called to provide that, and I'm happy to do it for free. I still feel like I'm in that learning phase in terms of what I can deliver to people and the format and how. So it felt right to me to offer that service as a freebie, if you will. So
yeah, I'm loving it. I know I haven't been as super active as in there like the last few days just because I was crazy busy, but
it's called life.
yes. But because like again, you're breaking it down into small goals. Okay, well, what task do I want to complete this week? I was just afraid. I think I put it in one of my posts. I'm afraid that I'm not going to keep up with it because like when you like I feel like okay, when I say I'm going to do it and then I don't do it, then that's the thing. I get down on myself and I get hard on myself and I just abandon it all. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this small task every week and hopefully that I'll keep doing it, or I'll give myself some grace if I don't, and then I'll just keep moving on with it. I don't know. I
keep moving on. And that is my goal, my overall goal and objective is to try to keep people engaged and not focused and just involved. Like just keep showing up. Show up in any way, any capacity that you can manage. So that's been my goal this past week with the posts that I've been making. I'm trying to remind people that, we have crappy days, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I think, I like it, you say, oh, how did you do this week on your goals? And, it just kind of keeps us engaged and keep going, which is great. And when I was, again, as a dietitian, because most of my career was as a dietitian, because most of my clients also wanted to lose weight over the last, clients I've had over the 10-year career. And there was only one program that I ever did, which had daily accountability for clients with weight loss goals. And it was the best, because it keeps people thinking about it. Okay, well, she's going to message me later today, or I'm supposed to message her later today. So it keeps top of mind, I think, and really focused on what you're doing.
You kind of become their little voice in their head.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's like, I don't want to have to tell Sharla later that I did this, right? This. So I'm like, hey, no, it's life. Calm down. You're not going to be, like, I don't like to say clean eating, but, on your plan 100% of the time. It's just not happening.
Right. Exactly. It's not realistic. So, and that's what I'm hoping people will get out of this group is that they realize that, You can have the goals, figure out how you want to achieve them, do what you can, but it's okay if you mess up here and there. And it's not a reason to stop. It's just a reason to pause and say, all right, that didn't go so well, but let's learn and move on.
Yeah, what could have worked better? And
yeah, exactly. What could have worked better? What was in my way? And people need to be willing to accept that, things are going to get in the way. You're going to have a really busy day at work. There's going to be days where you just can't get that walk in because you've been on the go from the time you got up to the time you went to bed. There's going to, it's just going to happen. So don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned there, I think, in a lot of us.
Exactly. And the other thing is when you are planning your tasks for the week, look at your calendar. Actually look at the calendar, what you have coming up that week, and schedule it in. Figure out, do I actually have the time to get to the gym 4 days this week?
Yeah.
And if you don't, well, then that's okay. Just get there 3 times or 2 times.
Yeah.
But try to make it work with your current life.
Yeah, set yourself up for success, right?
Exactly.
Instead of setting yourself up for failure.
Set yourself up for success. That is key. And you can't do that if you don't take the time to really look at your current lifestyle and what's on your schedule and what resources you have available. So you need to take that time to plan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's mostly everything. I think we've addressed most of it, eh?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
How about we go through quickly the steps for goal setting, just like bullet form to highlight it for everyone really clearly.
Sure. I think what I put in my post was, the first one is, well, what is your actual goal? What are you hoping to achieve? Write that down. And then the next one is why? Why do you want your goal? Like, why do you want to achieve it? What's important to you? What does success look like? Why do you want to live a healthier lifestyle? As an example, maybe it's so that you can avoid developing type 2 diabetes, which runs in your family, or maybe it's so you can have more energy to play with your kids, or you just want more energy during the course of your day. It could be a number of reasons, but you really need to take the time to figure out what is your why. Why is it important to you? And if you can't figure out the why, chances are you probably shouldn't have that goal. Because if you don't have a clear why, I don't know that it's important enough for you to actually be committed to it.
Yeah, you're not going to follow through.
Exactly. So you need that why. And then your next is the how. How so? I know what I want. I've got this clear goal. My why is super clear. So how am I going to achieve it? How am I going to get there? What resources do I need? What tasks do I need to complete? And you can just grab a piece of paper and just start brainstorming and just write out everything that comes to mind in terms of what you think you need to do to reach the goal. And when you have that list, then review it and make sure those items are realistic. Is it realistic for me to drink gallons of water a day? Will that really happen? Maybe I should start with 1 gallon instead. Is it realistic for me to plan to work out an hour 7 days a week? For me personally, no, that's definitely not realistic.
Me either.
If I get there 3 days a week, that's a win. I'm excited. So look at that list of your tasks and revise them if you need to. Pay attention to what you need to achieve, and then plan them out. And just start somewhere, anywhere. And when it came to the accountability group and the first week for me, I just picked some tasks that would help me with, I think it was 2 of my goals that are on my vision board. I didn't worry about the rest. I just wanted to pick a couple things that would help me feel successful and inspire me to just keep going.
Your goal that I love the most, of course, was eat 1 stick of celery a day.
The celery?
I love that one.
Yeah, the celery. Oh my goodness. So a bag of celery showed up in my grocery order one day, and I didn't order it, and I didn't pay for it, but I was like, I don't want to throw it out.
Yeah, I hate
And
wasting food too.
exactly, and I tried to offer it to a couple of friends, and they didn't eat it. And this past year, and even longer, for so long, I've thrown out so much rotting produce. It just makes me want to cry. And I was like, I'm not doing this with this celery. Like, so I just decided, you know what? I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it because it also meant that I was eating more vegetables every day. Like, because
Exactly.
in addition to the celery, I would like cut up some peppers and I would grab some cherry tomatoes and I would cut up some cucumbers and I'd grab a little thing of hummus. And, you know, I had a healthy snack, which was 100% one of the goals on my vision board, which is to have, to make sure that I'm making healthier food choices on a regular basis. So eating the celery worked.
I love it.
Yeah, and it just felt like a fun thing. I'm like, you know what? Let's just make this really fun and silly and goofy. So I'm gonna make that my task.
Yeah, that definitely works.
Yeah, so
because I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, have some fun. Have some fun with your tasks. And that one just kind of happened on the fly. So I didn't give it a lot of thought. It was just there. I'm like, I need to eat my celery.
Because I think a lot of people, like when you're talking about setting, fruits and vegetables, that's one of your goals. But so many people, I think when they want to lose weight or they want to eat healthier, they just say, oh, I want to lose 50 pounds or I want to eat healthier. Okay, well, what does that mean? Make it specific. Like what, one piece of celery a day or one apple a day. And then it's something concrete that you can say, yes, I measured that, check, I'm reaching the goal step by step.
Yeah, it really matters. And doing those little things lead to bigger things. I said I was going to eat a stick of celery every day. I think I ate two. I ended up eating a bunch more vegetables with it. And then I was drinking my water too. So it kind of grew, but not because I set out at the very beginning of the week saying, listen, I'm going to eat these many vegetables every day. It just happened because I was eating the celery and it made sense to me. So start small. Yeah. Start small with really manageable things, and you'll find that you'll probably end up pulling in extras. That's just awesome. Naturally.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So then you're feeling good about what you're doing and you want to do more.
Exactly. Too, right? Exactly. And like I said, have fun with it. And so that's the how. And then we covered the what, we covered the why, the how. The when really. So the when, break it down into a manageable when, like what can I do every day or what can I do just this week? Try to break that down as well. You can have an overall end goal or end date for your goal and work towards that. I prefer to not necessarily put an end date on my goal and to just figure out how I'm going to reach it and maybe put dates on the little tasks that I can complete.
I'm with you on that. Because I think it's those big end goals, I think that stress me out the most, maybe.
Right.
Because then if you don't get it, then
I didn't get right. You might feel like
feeling bad again. So
even though you spent the entire year completing so many different tasks and excelling at them, if you have that overall date at the end and you didn't reach it, you might still beat yourself up. And it's
say, oh, well, why did I do all of that? And I didn't get there.
Right. And they're going to say, oh, that wasn't worth it. But it was. I mean, so
totally.
That ties back to the need to celebrate along the way.
And for me, it comes to, like the universe has your back, the spiritual side of things. Sometimes it's just going to happen when it's meant to happen.
Right. But if you keep working towards it, if you keep taking action,
exactly,
you're likely going to get there.
Yeah.
And the end date is going to differ from person to person because we're all unique people.
Totally.
Yeah. So the when to me is more around those smaller tasks that you need to complete to help you get to your goal. As an example, I want to be more creative this year, and I want to have a space to simply be and breathe. And so next week, one of my tasks is to start working on my office space, which is a rec. And I want to transform that into a space where I can sit and read and be quiet and to have an inviting space to write and be a bit more creative, as well as possibly meditate. So that's one of my tasks next week, is to start in that room. I don't think I'll have it done within a week, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But sometime over the course of this weekend, I will figure out what are those concrete tasks that I can achieve or complete next week to help me on that path.
Because if you don't start at all, well, it will never be done.
Right. You have to start somewhere. That's the other thing too. So many times I've heard people say, well, I'll start that in the new year. I'll start once A happens, or I'll start once I get some new workout wear, or I'll start once I, have whatever. But you need to just start.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's the same for weight loss, or creating your room, or building a business, or even like I'm also thinking now about saving money. Well, because if you say you want to save for retirement and you need, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get there? But if you just start, small, say, okay, $50 every paycheck, and then you're going to see it grow.
Start somewhere, anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. So start small and make it manageable, and you'll get there.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's actually inspiring me as well to start on smaller goals too.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Thank you.
I know the accountability group has been super helpful just for me as well.
So can anyone join that accountability group, Tammy?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, they can. Yeah.
So if any of you listening want to join Tammy's accountability group, it's just that on Facebook, Tammy's accountability group, or you can reach out to either one of us and we can send you the link to join.
Yeah. Yep. You can find me at tammycrowley.ca.
Awesome.
I think there's an option to actually send me a message there if you need to.
Perfect. So any final thoughts, Tammy, that you want to share?
No, I think the final one is just to make sure you celebrate those wins. I know we've covered that several times already in our conversation.
Super important.
But it's key. It really is. Be gentle with yourself and celebrate the wins.
Awesome.
And celebrate the win can be literally anything, like go for a coffee with a friend. Well, maybe virtual coffee right now. Or, take a bath, or, have that piece of chocolate, like anything. I don't know.
Yeah. Anything at all that brings you joy and pleasure.
Exactly. And then, you can plan for something larger when you hit bigger milestones on your way to achieving a goal. And if you hit that goal, then you definitely need to celebrate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Tammy. Like I said, it's inspired me, and so much wonderful information. And I hope that, a lot of people are going to get something from this. And reach out to Tammy or I. We can help you join that group. Or if you have any questions, you can reach Tammy, tammycrowley.ca. I'll also have it in the show notes for this podcast. So if you're not sure spelling or anything like that, then you can go to my website, charlagoodwin.com, and it'll be in the show notes there.
Great.
Well, thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, Sharla. See you later.